Call me crazy if you want, but I've never liked store-bought pesto.
Damn.
What the hell is that on your bed?
The monkey dolls.
Spoil me, spoil me, spoil me. Everything wants to spoil me. It comes times 11, so lucky like 7, receiving my blessings enjoyably. I'm open to it and I'm ready. My mind and my energy steady. Receiving the flood of the blessings that come in like water, the flow is so heavy.
Call me crazy if you want, but I've never liked store-bought
What the hell
pesto.
is that on your bed?
The monkey dolls. Let's get into it. So as I briefly mentioned in my last video, my daughters were born when I was only 29 weeks pregnant. So they spent roughly the first 3 months of their life in the NICU. And this was in 2021 where COVID protocols were still very strict. So the only visitors that were allowed to meet and see my daughters were myself and their father. Nobody else was allowed to come visit them. And my mother did not handle this very well. And so she ended up going online and searching for reborn dolls to purchase to cope with not being able to meet her twin granddaughters. Now, why are they monkeys? In her words, well, they're half Mexican, so I figured if I got monkey dolls, they would look more like your daughters. And during this very stressful time for me, not knowing if my daughters were even going to make it or not, I was also dealing with my mother texting, calling, or FaceTiming me every hour on the hour, wanting to see and hear updates regarding the babies. If I ever did not respond promptly enough, my father would then start reaching out to me saying, please respond to your mom. Please send her a picture. Please send her a video. Please answer her FaceTimes. She won't get out of bed. She's so distressed that she hasn't seen the babies in over an hour. She won't eat. Like, please answer your mom. So eventually she ended up getting these dolls. And according to my dad, she slept with them. She would carry them around the house. So she would cuddle with them while she watched TV. And she would call them my daughters' names, like she named them after my daughters. So that photo that I used in the first video was a photo taken of her while my daughters were still in the NICU. When my babies finally got to come home from the hospital, my mother brought the baby monkey dolls to my house as a welcome home gift to my daughters. She said at this point they can just have them, and as they grow up they can play with them. I immediately hid them in the closet because no thanks, those are creepy. Here is a better view of what these creepy things looked like. So how did I find out that my husband was sleeping with my mom? If you are one of the millions of people that have commented this on my videos, this is the video that's going to answer that. This is a really long story, so hopefully I can get all of this in one video, but if it starts to get too much, I might have to break it up into at least a couple videos. Okay, so first I should probably talk about some of the red flags that I saw before I actually definitively found out that the affair was happening. So one thing that kind of shifted and changed in their behavior was that when they would greet each other hello or say goodbye, instead of it being like a side, like pat, 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 like hello, goodbye, she would like wrap her arms around his neck and he would like swing her around in a circle to like say hello. He also started giving my mom foot rubs in front of me. On Valentine's Day, 2 days before I found out about the affair, he brought home flowers for me and for my mom. But the biggest red flag is that on multiple occasions, with multiple witnesses, my mother and ex-husband would say, you know, if Catherine and her dad ever were to tragically pass away simultaneously, we would totally end up together. So Catherine, how did you not cut ties with your mother and your husband right then and there the first time it was said? Because I'm an idiot. Because I was brainwashed my entire fucking childhood by that woman. I don't know. I'm dumb. I know. Hindsight, dude, 2020. So that's just like a handful of red flags. So why didn't I ever say anything? Why didn't I ever bring it up to my mom or my husband? Because I didn't want to believe it was happening. I didn't want to accept that the two people I trusted the most in this whole world could betray me like that. So I would make up any excuse I could for their behavior. I didn't want to believe it. But I finally knew I wasn't crazy when my grandmother, my mom's mother, came to me and expressed that she had a feeling something was going on between my mom and my husband. I'm so sorry to do this, but I'm going to make a part 2. Okay, here is part 2 of how I ultimately caught my husband having an affair with my mother. Also, this comment was left by my fully biological sister that my parents conceived when they were in high school and gave up for adoption. So if you want more on the story of her and my relationship with her, let me know. So my grandmother came to me and she had expressed that she had witnessed some odd behavior between my mother and my husband. Kind of similar stuff to how I described in the last video that I had witnessed. And when she told me this, I mean, part of me was absolutely crushed. But the other part of me felt so validated to know that I wasn't crazy and that I wasn't the only one seeing these things. So I asked her, what do I do? Do I confront them? Do I ask them? Because in my head, I still didn't want to believe that something was happening. And sure, everything that was happening was insanely inappropriate, but it doesn't outright 100% prove that an affair is happening. I know, obviously it was. But I didn't have proof. And for me, it's like, I did not want to make those accusations if I didn't have cold, hard evidence. So my grandma, bless her heart, she encouraged me that the truth always comes to light, and she encouraged me to just sit and wait. And I wasn't sure if I was going to follow that advice. But turns out I didn't have to, because that night, I got proof. Okay, so it's February of 2022, and a couple months prior, my husband had been fired from his job. And so in order to pay the mortgage, he was door dashing. And anytime that he would DoorDash, he would always let me know what time frame he planned on doing that for. And if he ever planned on running later than he first initially told me, he'd let me know, hey, I'm going to work later than I thought. This was never an expectation that I asked for. It was just something that he created. So I always knew when he was working and when to expect him home so I could have dinner ready. So that night he had told me that he'd be home around 9, and when 9:30 came around and I hadn't heard from him, I reached out to him. Specifically, I FaceTimed him. So he answered, and I asked him what time he thought he would be home and if I needed to have dinner ready for him or if I could just go to bed. He had expressed that he had lost track of time and didn't realize how late it had gotten and that he would be heading home soon. He said, don't worry about dinner, I'll just hit a drive-thru on the way home. Now, as he's talking, I'm paying attention to the background. He's in his car, but he's parked. And I notice out his driver's side window, the buildings behind him. And I realize that I recognize them. But I recognize them as being in the city we live in, not the city that he says he was in. So I go, hey, I thought you said you were in this city. And he's like, oh yeah, I am. So I should be home in about 20 minutes. And I go, no, you're not. I can see that building behind you and you're in this city that we live in. And his face goes white. And so we go back and forth arguing about where he is or where he isn't. And finally, he admits that he's exactly where I said he was. And I go, why are you lying? This is so weird. Like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden, I can't make out what was said, but I could hear a woman's voice. And he turns over to his passenger seat as if listening to that voice speaking. And I go, who are you with? And he says, I'm not with anyone. And I say, I just heard someone talk. Who are you with? And he hung up on me. I'm so sorry. I'm going to make a part 3. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry I've taken so long to make a part 3, but I'm a single mom to twins. Like, you don't know how hard it is to try to film without making any mistakes while you have screaming, crying toddlers wondering where their mom went so I can go film a video. Like, I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. Okay, but this is part 3 about how I definitively caught my husband having an affair with my mom. Okay, but really quickly before I get into the story, because I feel if I keep ignoring this, it's going to be too far gone and I'm not going to be able to say anything. I thought I was really cool and witty when I came up with my username however long ago. I am a very tenacious person, and my name is Catherine, and a nickname for Catherine is Cat. So I thought that Cat Tenacious would have been a cool username, but now everyone thinks I'm Kate Nacious, and my name's not Kate, and I've never been called Kate in my entire life. I go by Catherine. I don't even go by Cat. I just thought it'd be a cool username. So, hi, I'm Catherine. I'm not Kate. Sorry. Okay, but here we go. Here's the story. Here's part 3. Okay, so I left off in the last video saying that he hung up on me when I had asked him who he was with. And as soon as he hangs up the phone, my heart is just like beating out of my chest. So I take a few minutes to literally have a panic attack and cry and process that I think I'm right. Oh my gosh, he's having an affair. Is it my mom? Is it somebody else? I'm freaking out. So I FaceTime him again and he answers, and I again am just asking him, what is going on? Why are you lying? I know you're with somebody. I'm not stupid. And he accuses me of being crazy and not trusting him, and that he's given me no reason to not trust him, and is just gaslighting me. So then I say, show me the passenger seat. And he says, no. And he hangs up on me again. So then I cry and I freak out even more, collect myself, and I call him again on FaceTime. And I am like, what the is happening? Like, if you're not hiding anything, why won't you just show me? If I'm crazy, then just show me and prove yourself correct. And so, mind you, my crying panic attack episode lasted a few minutes before I called him again. So this time when I'm saying all of this, he's like, okay, fine, I'll show you. Turns the camera to his passenger seat. Sure enough, it's empty. And I'm like, oh, okay, so you just expect me to believe that during that time you hung up on me, that she didn't just get out of your car and she's hiding outside right now? So he just continues to say that I'm crazy and says, I'll be home soon. I'll talk to you later, and hangs up on me again. So at this point, I'm like 99% sure that it's my mom. I just have this gut feeling. I had just talked to my grandmother that morning about the situation. Like, I'm 99% sure, but I wanted to be 100% sure. So then I decided to call my little sister because she was still living at home with our parents at the time. Through my tears, I managed to get the words out that I'm trying to say, and I ask her if our mom is home. And she goes, I don't know, I'm in bed, like it's late at night, what's going on? Are you okay? Are the babies okay? And I said, I really just need you to do me a favor and find out if mom is home. And she goes, why? What's going on? And I say, sister, I really need you to go find out if mom is home. And she goes, okay, I don't want to keep this from you. Your husband came by earlier tonight and picked mom up to take her door dashing with him, and they told me not to tell you. And that confirms that I was right, that they were together. So I'm hysterical and I'm crying and I'm telling my sister, they're having an affair, sister, they're having an affair. And of course she goes, what? No, they're not. They would never do that. Catherine, like, no, don't think that way. They love you. That's our mom. That's your husband. Like, no. It's just a misunderstanding. Because of course you don't want to believe that that's actually really happening. But I knew that I was right. Because of my little sister, I finally had my 100% guarantee. I knew they were together. So this time I called my mom. She didn't answer, so I called her again and again and again, and I called her 8 times. And when she finally answered, she goes, what, Catherine? And again, through my weeping, I just said to her, just tell me why. And she goes, why what? And I said, you know what? And I can hear my husband in the background saying, put it on speaker, put it on speaker. So then I hear her muffle with her phone to put it on speaker. And then she goes, tell you why I'm with your husband. And then she goes on this rant about how she had a really bad day today, and my husband had reached out to her earlier to see how she was doing, and after she told him, he went to go pick her up to get her out of the house to have some fresh air, and there's nothing wrong with that. I then addressed my husband because I knew I was on speakerphone, and I let him know that before he took her home, they both needed to get to our house so the three of us could have a chat. So eventually they got to the house, and when they walked in, they tried to come hug me. And I told them, do not fucking touch me. And I looked both of them dead in their eyes. And I said, are you two fucking each other? Without even so much as moving a muscle in his face, my husband looks at me and says, no. And my mother says, I would never cross that boundary. But of course I knew the truth. I knew. Even without them admitting it, I knew. So I ended up telling my mom to get the hell out of my house. And I went to bed. I didn't sleep, but I went to bed. It was not until the next day that they finally decided to come clean and admit that they were, in fact, having an affair. Okay, you guys are going to be mad at me, but I'm going to have to make a part 4. My story is so long, you guys, like hours long. And I just can't fit all of that into TikTok. I can't do it. It has been a very overwhelming last few days with all of the attention I've been getting. And I'm so thankful and I'm so grateful for all of you guys for listening to my story and hearing me and validating me. But it's a lot. So it is midnight right now as I'm filming this because I really wanted to try to get this part 3 out to you guys. And I promise you I'm going to make a part 4 tomorrow, but I'm not going to promise you how long it's going to take me. But I will put out a part 4. So stay tuned.
Okay, what in the Alabama family affair is going on? This young lady shared that she discovered that her mother has been having an affair with her husband for 6 whole months. Now, we don't know because it could have been longer and it could have been shorter, but 6 months is 6 months too long. Because for one, can you imagine your mother is even looking at your man in that way? That to me is disturbing. It's disgusting. What is going on? What in the actual heck is going on? And then the monkey's on the bed. First of all, when I first saw that, I was like, what the heck is that? And why is it laying on the bed like that? But then I remembered I had a patient back in the days in the memory care unit, and she had one of those old monkey babies, and it looks like a real baby. You know how like those silicone babies that people actually carry? You know, it's like a thing where people, I don't know, it's like some people have different things that they're into, and they will carry those babies as if it's like real baby, and they look so real that from a distance you think it's a real baby. And she would carry that baby, that monkey baby, around with her, and her daughter said that she purchased it for really like a lot of money. So when I saw that, it reminded me of my memory care patient. It was a memory care patient, baby doll, monkey doll. She was from Germany. Really cute little lady. I don't want to drop her name, but yeah, that was creepy. That was a bit creepy. And then the whole story behind it is even worse. The fact that she got that baby, that monkey baby, had me question everything. The mom, the daughter, the husband, everybody, even the sister. The sister's not safe. Even the sister I'm questioning, because this entire story is just insane. What in the actual Alabama situation is going on? I might have to start doing an Alabama Monday because I feel like there's a lot of crazy stuff coming up from Alabama. So we might enjoy it. Like this story right here will be the first one. I will talk to you guys later, but this was a doozy. Talk to you later.